This play.
Baseball by the Bay tonight. It's the first of this three-game series, the Mariners and the Oakland Athletics. Happy Felix Day. The King is back up on the mound to open up this series in Oakland as the Mariners are trying to get back on the right track this final stretch of the season. As tonight they begin a 6-game, 7-day road trip. We take a look at the Mariners starting lineup tonight.
And some changes to the lineup. Ben Gamel will hit leadoff for the second day in a row against Segura. Out Ben with his 11th home run in yesterday's ball game. Robinson Cano hitting third. He is 4 for 5 with the home run against Gossett. And Mike Zunino hitting 7th in the lineup. He has a career high 23 home runs. And for Gossett, 16 starts on the year, a 4-9 record, a 5.38 ERA, and 85 and a third. He has 68 strikeouts, over 28 walks. In his average fastball, 92 miles an hour, has a slider, curve, and changeup to go with it. Look at the defense for the A's. They've really struggled this year. They are last in the American League. And Jake Smolinski will get the start in center field. We've seen him in right and left, but not in center, so we'll see how that works out. Then you're going to have Ryan Healy at first base, and Bruce Maxwell will do the catching. Gossett in his last outing against the Tigers, it was a tough one. 4 2/3, 9 hits, 6 earned runs. He had 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. He threw 90 pitches.
Now you look at his last 2 starts combined, the Red Sox and the Tigers, 9 earned over 10 innings. 4 walks and 6 strikeouts his last 2 times out as he faces Ben Gamel to get things going tonight. I'll tell you what, Mike. You mentioned the home run that Gamel had against Kluber. You could almost see a home run coming for Gamel, but his first 2 at-bats against Kluber were fantastic.
Yeah, you were over on the radio side. I was working on TV, and for Gamel, that's what I was talking about. He was having a terrific day at the plate and had nothing to show for it until he finally hit the home run, because he was hitting the ball hard.
He get 2 firm line drive outs against a guy who could win his 2nd Cy Young, then paid off with a homer. This time into left field, hanging up in time for Canada to track it down. 1 up, 1 down for Daniel Gossett. Now the Mariners coming off a 1-5 homestand. They have had good success, however, against the A's this season. They're 10-6 against Oakland. Kind of interesting the way the schedule's worked out. We talked about the Mariners finishing on the road for the first time since '02, but how about the distribution of series between these 2 teams this season? 10 of the last 12 games between the Mariners and the A's have been played at Safeco Field. Over the heart of the plate for strike 1 to Haniger.
Haniger finishing strong. Really good month of September for him. Now it's 14 home runs on the year, hitting .275 at the start of the day. I mentioned it earlier with Gossett. You want to get after his fastball. Opponent's hitting .368. He's given up 7 home runs on his fastball this year.
Lance Barksdale is our home plate umpire in this one in his 14th season. Ted Barrett is the crew chief over at first base, so any reviews will be going through him. High lift into shallow center field. Marcus Semien, who has missed a lot of this year because of wrist surgery, puts it away for round number 2. Two up, 2 down by the 24-year-old rookie Daniel Gossett, a product of Clemson, was a teammate of Dominic Leone, former Mariner. They're in the ACC, now facing Robinson Cano.
Well, 6 games to go for the Mariners, and Robbie's 6 RBIs away from 100. See his numbers against Gossett, 4 for 5, including a home run. But I think he'd like to get to that 100 RBIs for him. Awfully close now with 94.
First pitch in play to Jed Lowry. Handles it routinely. 3 up, 3 down for the Mariners as we make our way to the bottom of the first. The King, Felix, about ready to take them out. A very happy Felix Day, the King, up on the mound inside the Coliseum tonight as we open up this 3-game series, the Mariners and the Oakland A's, and this has been a red-hot A's lineup.
And Chris Davis, the cleanup hitter and DH, has been hot. You can see a couple of home runs for him lately. 41 home runs on the year. That is second in the American League. Ryan Healy, a career-high 25 home runs, hitting right behind Davis. So you want to be careful with the middle of the lineup. Jake Smolinski will round out the 9 for the A's. For Felix on the year, 15 starts for him, a 5-5 record, 4.5 ERA. 76 strikeouts over the 24 walks. And look at the defense. Jacob Hanneman will get the start in center field. His first start in center. Taylor Motter at shortstop, and Mike Zunino will do the catching.
Shortstop Marcus Semien leading things off for Bob Melvin of the A's. On the second pitch. Finds a new guy. Hanneman squares it up. Makes the catch for round number 1.
And with him making the catch, you could probably tell that the grass is a little bit different out in center field. Obviously, they play some football here, and that's where they have the grandstands. And because they're playing football, you can see some of the lines from time to time, but it is very firm and it is really fast. So he'll have to be careful with his angles on a ball hit in the gap. Watching batting practice today, and even ground balls were shooting all the way to the fence if somebody didn't stop it. It's really fast out there.
It's like a putting green, but firmer.
Yeah, exactly.
Quick out number 1. It brings up Matt Joyce. Joyce having really strong second half in particular. It was an interesting start for Felix his last time out, Mike. Perfect through 3 innings, and then 5 batters in a row reached to begin the 4th. It began with a leadoff walk. The difference, of course, was that he began to work from the stretch. Now, Scott Service today seemed to indicate that he did not feel like there was that big of a deal, Felix working out of the stretch. It's not as if he hasn't done that before, but that was the noticeable difference between the first 3 innings and then the 4th.
Well, I would agree with that, and I think for Felix this year, fastball, changeup, curveball, slider, by the way, he's had a really good changeup this year. It's always been there for him. Pretty good fastball, but I think once he was in the stretch, all of a sudden, he was fighting the strike zone a little bit, either missing off the plate, and then when he was throwing strikes, he ended up in the middle of the plate. So I'll be curious to see what he does today and the adjustment that he has made pitching out of the stretch. But his stuff, I don't think, changed at all. The velocity was still there.
Shift is on. Motter redirects it, and it dives in front of Cano. So Joyce is aboard.
Will be a base hit. And for Felix today, I'd like to see him go 5 innings if possible. Probably somewhere around 75 pitches. You take a look at Motter, diving effort right off the end of his glove.
One out, 1 on for Jed Lowry, who has slugged a career best 47 doubles this year. He bats with Joyce at first base. Jack 9 for ball 1. And you mentioned the pitch count for Felix. His last start, 67 pitches. I got him 3 1/3 innings.
One of the other things that will be interesting is if he's able to get through 5 innings and his pitch count 70 to 80, somewhere in there, if this will be his last start of the year or not. I think that's something that they'll decide after the game, depending on how he feels and where they're at. Maybe they want to see somebody else also.
And we could be asking the same question after tomorrow's start with Paxton.
Right. And I'm sure they're already having a discussion about Mike Leake also, whether he's going to be done for the year.
A lot of decisions for those 2 men to go through.
It's interesting how things change so quickly. You're fighting, you're trying to get into the wild card. All that ended yesterday, so the focus and what you're trying to do is completely different when you show up to the ballpark today.
Overnight. Felix behind the count with Joyce at first and 1 out. Now they put the shift on. It was almost like the defense was showing blitz late behind Felix.
Well, and this is interesting to me because it was a couple of years ago, and it involved Lowry. Maybe it was even early last year. I believe it was early last year, but I was talking to Tim Bogar. And he had beat the shift a couple of times, and he said that was part of them gathering data and making adjustments, and now we're seeing it with the way the defense is moving around depending on count, who he's facing, and the situation of the game.
Felix is 3-1.
And I think it goes to you'll appreciate this, Aaron, when we had Lou Piniella in the booth. We're talking to Lou about shifts and defenses, and his comment was, why don't you just hit the ball the other way? Well, I think that with a veteran guy like Lowry, he has the ability to do that, and I think that's a situation where maybe he would try to take advantage of it. If you have a runner in scoring position, obviously they don't right now, so they think he'll still try to pull. But I think there's some hitters that have the ability and will try to do it.
Now, this might sound like a very routine question, but how hard or how easy is it, depending on the player and the situation, the pitcher on the mound obviously is a big factor, to do exactly that? It's very easy for us or the folks at home to say, well,
just hit the ball
the other way. But Mike, I've talked to a number of players, both with the Mariners and on the other side, who have said, listen, man, I'm just trying to hit the ball hard.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that means because it's that difficult to hit the ball the other way and actually guide it that way, or if their mindset is just something completely different.
I think it is more difficult in today's game than it ever has been. And the biggest reason why is because of the velocity. So many guys, Felix's first walk, so many guys that are going to be in the mid to upper 90s with the hard breaking ball. And I think the hitters today are exactly right. They're trying to just make contact. And I don't think they work on it that much coming up to the minor leagues anymore.
Yeah. 1 out, 2 on for Chris Davis. Davis, who's really been a Mariners killer. He's homered in back-to-back games. He's 4th in the majors with 41 home runs.
And as you can imagine, with 41 home runs, power to all fields, line to line for him.
He has been one of the best opposite field home run hitters in the game this year. Felix falling behind with the first pitch in some early hot water, at least a little bit. Joyce at second base, Lowry at first, but a double play gets him out of this one.
What's interesting with Davis is in today's game, you see so many guys with a big leg kick, and they're all trying to hit the ball out of the ballpark. Well, he does it, 41 home runs, but not much of a leg kick at all. In fact, he just kind of glides a little bit of a stride, but not much.
And we've talked about it before. Giancarlo Stanton, who is nearing 60 home runs, has the closed stance. Beltre has a little bit of a closed stance. Davis looks like he's more square, but his shoulder is pinched in.
Yeah, I think, well, you mentioned Stanton. That's pretty dramatic when you see him for the first time. The changes that he has made, because you just don't see that anymore. That used to be fairly common stance to be closed like that, and it's just not the case anymore.
Up the middle, maybe the double play ball. Felix is hoping to dial up. Cano handles it on his own, and that sends us to the second. Fine work by the King, who gets out of it here in the bottom of the first. Filling you in on that happened prior to the game during the national anthem. A high school band from the Oakland United School District. Many of the members, the vast majority, in fact, taking a knee. Of course, Bruce Maxwell, the starting catcher tonight for the A's. This is his third straight game taking a knee during the anthem. He's the first major leaguer to do such a thing. Maxwell, whose father served in the U.S. Army, who was born overseas, in fact, because of his father's deployment, was born in Germany, just like Mike. And Maxwell has created a number of headlines throughout Major League Baseball after taking a knee for the first time on Saturday, and now maybe some dominoes beginning to fall. We saw it with the band during the national anthem. So here's Nelson Cruz to begin things here in the second. Gossett a very quick first inning, 8 pitches, and he starts Cruz off with strike 1.
And Nelson with 37 home runs, trying to get to 40. His 4th year in a row.
Now, he is the only member of the 40 home run club each of the last 3 seasons. Chasing after the third pitch.
Nelson thought he had a piece of it, trying to argue that it was a foul ball.
Now Scott comes out of the dugout saying the same thing.
I think it's a slider, maybe a curveball. Hard to tell. And I have to think that he fouled it with his reaction.
Now, before this gets too far down the road, foul ball's not reviewable.
Right. Well, Scott right there was just asking him to get some help. And Lance Barksdale thought he had it. So Nelson will head to the dugout.
First strikeout for Gossett, who sat down the first 4. That brings up Kyle Seager with 25 home runs on the season.
8 hits away from 1,000 for Kyle.
I'll say this much, Gossett's coming out throwing strikes.
You see the 12 pitches, 11 strikes for him.
Mariners are facing Gossett for the 3rd time this season, the 2nd time this month. A career high 5 walks over 3 2/3 his last time facing the Mariners. That was back home. Cano took him deep.
We will see if this continues, but it looks completely different today. You mentioned all the walks and the problems that he was having, falling behind in counts. That has not been the case so far today. Looks really comfortable.
A's have the shift on. And worth pointing out, I mentioned a career high 5 walks. He's a 24-year-old rookie. He's making his 17th start. Walks Seager with 1 out. The Mariners have their first base runner. Now the Eagles and Doobie Brothers are coming to Safeco Field Saturday at 7 p.m. for a unique rock and roll doubleheader. Tickets are on sale now for the Classic Northwest at Ticketmaster.com. 1 out, a man aboard for the former A from this season, an all-star with Oakland, Yonder Alonso. First time that Gossett has misfired with the first pitch, ball 1. The opposite way on a line out to the gap in left center field. Seager past second base. He's motoring into third. He gets the stop sign there for Matty Acta. Alonso gets ahead of the count. Ropes a single to left center. Mariners have runners on the corners.
This is hitting what looked like a pretty good pitch off the plate. It is belt high. He just drops the barrel on it. Smolinski again in center field is able to cut it off. What a good situation for the Mariners and Mike Zunino.
Batting with the go-ahead run 90 feet from home. On the season, opposing hitters batting an even 300 against Gossett, who's coughed up 16 home runs, a dozen of them to right-handed hitters like Zunino. This ballpark, the home of Mike's first ever big league home run. Out to center field. Mike, you know as well as anyone how tough it can be to homer here at night. And I asked Mike earlier today if this is the most difficult visiting ballpark in the division to homer in at night. He threw in Anaheim as a sneaky tough place, especially.
I would agree with that.
Especially for a right-handed hitter, how big that ballpark gets out by the bullpen.
And I think the thing with Anaheim too is you start going out towards right center field, and they have a higher wall here, but it's even higher in Anaheim, and you have to carry all of that. Makes it difficult in the evening. But I would agree. I think that I would have guessed probably Anaheim.
Now, if you're a right-handed hitter, it makes up for, what was it, about a 3-foot wall by the pole in left field.
Yeah.
I mean, that is lower than hip high.
Yeah.
If you can hit one on a line. But then it gets big fast. Full count. Pardon me, 2-2. Mariners have a chance to strike here in the second. Club center field. Here comes another for Zunino. This is absolutely punished. Zunino's 24th home run. And no doubt about that. Mariners on the board early. It's 3-0 courtesy of Mike Zunino. Maybe it's not so difficult to homer here at night, Mike.
It's still early in the game. Adds to his career high 24 home runs now for Mike, and this is all about his approach. Talked to him about it a few weeks ago. Well, a few times where we weren't dealing with mechanics with Mike, and it was more of an approach, thinking more right center field. And let you know that he's really comfortable with his mechanics if he's able to think that way. And we've seen him hit the ball the other way to right center a lot more, including that home run. Yeah, so much power. He doesn't have to pull the ball on. If he can hit the fastball up the middle the other way, keep him on the breaking ball and the changeup a little bit longer. Some hit the curveball on the last road trip, 470 feet out to left field.
And that was a joke.
That home run 422 feet.
Not to make too sweeping of a statement, but is that a logical evolution for a young hitter to go from the mechanical side of things to the field, like you were talking about with Zunino?
Yeah, I think that most of the guys at this level, they'll have, well, all of them, they'll all have an approach, and it may be different. And some of it is maybe the language. It just, and there's, because with your approach, there has to be a certain feel and a mindset that you get yourself into, and you're clearly not thinking about mechanics at all. Now, for Mike, he has had to make such drastic changes, and you see where he's at now compared to where he was, let's say, a year ago. That mechanically he was having to deal with a lot, and it took a little bit longer and more time. But once he starts talking approach and thinking of that, you think less of your mechanics. He probably works on some things during batting practice, hitting off the tee, things like that. That's when he'll get mechanical with it. But when he gets in and he's taking his batting practice, especially his last few rounds, he's thinking just his approach, hit the ball back up the middle the other way, try to lock that in.
2 outs for Jacob Hanneman, getting his first big league start. He's batting 9th in center field tonight for Scott Service. Made his major league debut back on September 9th. Picked up his first hit a week later in Houston. Hanneman, 26 years old. He's a product of BYU. 3rd-round draft pick by the Chicago Cubs. That was in 2013. Made it up as high as AAA Iowa with Chicago. Tied to the line and a fair ball. Taken there behind the bag by Ryan Healy, the former Duck, who runs over it. And that will end the Mariners' second, but damage dealt courtesy of Mike Zunino. Towering high opposite field blast has put the Mariners on top 3-0. Mariners baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by your local Ford stores. By Safeco Insurance. Find a local agent at safeco.com. Do more. And by the Emerald Queen Casino, presenting an evening with Queen Latifah November 4th. Tickets at emeraldqueen.com. Beautiful day in Santa Cruz as Ryan Healy leads off the home second. Well, the A's entered this game on a season best 7-game winning streak. They've won their last 8 here at home. And for Oakland, this is the first time that they have trailed since last Tuesday in Detroit against the suddenly rebuilding Tigers.
Felix with 16 pitches in the first inning, gave up a hit, had a walk, but a double play ball got him out of the inning.
It's easy to lose sight of with Felix because of all the strikeouts and when he has been at his best, the changeup and how devastating that pitch can be. But when he has been at his best, Mike, he's been a ground ball guy, over 50%.
Yep.
But it's easy to lose sight of that when he's punching out 9-10 batters a game.
Yeah, that is true. But you look at the changeup, even his curveball is it's been a great pitch for him.
Full count to Healy beginning the second.
Not quite the type of curveball this year that he had last year, but still a good pitch for him. But you're right. If he's keeping the ball on the ground, he's usually in pretty good shape.
For Felix, his second walk. Has walked 2 of the last 3 hitters. Leadoff man aboard for Matt Chapman.
I always find it interesting. You mentioned Paxton going tomorrow, but just players, especially players that have dealt with some injuries over the course of the season, on what they're going to do during the winter. And I think for Felix, it'll be interesting to hear what kind of program he's going to get on to help himself.
Second double play ball again to Cano, again onto Alonso at first base.
Well, it really helps. But for Felix, he'll go 3 2/3 today. He'll be at 2,500 innings in his career. That is a lot of pitches, routine as it gets for Robbie. No problem at all. There's a lot of pitches that he has thrown in his career. And he still has a number of years left in him as far as pitching goes. But, you know, his workouts now compared to where he was at probably 5 years ago were different, and it's going to be probably a little different again this winter. I don't know if it was last year or maybe the year before with Paxton, and he basically changed his body, the way that he looked, because he was trying to stay away from injuries because he was having some leg problems and
lost significant weight.
Yeah, he looks great. Well, we'll see what he is going to do over the course of the winter.
Bruce Maxwell slashes this to left field, but right to Ben Gamble, and that ends the inning. So leadoff walk does no harm. Felix faces the minimum. We're off to the third. Mariners on top. Cincinnati has given the Mariners a 3-0 lead as we move to the top of the third. We'll take a look at our CenturyLink What's Next. Next 2 days here in Oakland, James Paxton going up against Daniel Mignon tomorrow night. Then day baseball, we're on the air at noon on a Wednesday. Erasmo Ramirez versus Kendall Graveman. Eager to see what Paxton has in store for us tomorrow night. His 3rd start since coming off the disabled list. Strike 1 to Ben Gamble. What a difference for the Mariners facing Gossett the 2nd inning versus the 1st. Gossett 8 pitches, a 1-2-3 first inning. 25 pitches in the 2nd. And that home run, as we mentioned, by Zunino. Gamble fists it over to third base. Chapman handles it smoothly. There's out number 1. Now this postseason, get ready for excitement, drama, and thrilling plays. The 2017 Major League Baseball postseason begins October 3rd. Go to MLB.com/postseason for a full schedule.
Now batting, 17.
Diamondbacks just clinching a wild card. Yankees magic number dwindling down to 2 for an American League wild card spot. One out, base is clean for Mitch Haniger. Now for the Mariners, they've already wrapped up the season series against the A's. And including this year, they have won the season series against Oakland every year dating back to 2013. 3 games here in Oakland, a day off, and then 3 games to finish the season over the weekend in Anaheim against the Angels. Lifted high left field. How far will this carry? Canna at the wall. This ball is gone. Got it by plenty. Haniger's 15th. That's the 2nd home run for the Mariners against Daniel Gossett. And he chips into things. It's now 4-0 Mariners.
He is having a great month of September. Kind of a strange year for Haniger with the injuries that he has had. Off to the great start in April. Struggled a little bit to work his way back, but September has been special for him, and this is a long home run. It's all the way back up into the walkway. As Aaron mentioned, his 15th home run on the year. Like to see what he can do with 500, 550 at bats next year and see what his numbers look like.
Robbie, who homered off of Gossett in the last meeting between these two teams, looks at ball 1. The 1-1. Mariners with 4 runs on a couple of homers. Zunino and now Haniger. Time called. Cruz on deck. Well, the numbers this year against Gossett's curveball really solid. That's been a good pitch for him.
It has been, and it's interesting to see that he actually throws his slider more than his curveball, because his curveball has been a dominant pitch for him.
He's the case of a guy with 2 secondary pitches at basically identical speeds. The changeup and the slider, both are about 84 miles an hour. We saw this happen in recent years with Taijuan Walker a little bit. He had multiple offerings that were right around the same velocity, although much firmer than 84. And that was something that the Mariners were trying to get him before he was traded to Arizona to differentiate a little bit. Reaches for this and flicks it into shallow left. Chapman, the young third baseman, makes the catch. 2 outs.
I think it's one of the reasons when you talk about that for Felix, and we were mentioning his curveball, and it was a couple of years ago talking to him in spring training, and he told me that because initially when he first came to the big leagues, he was 95, 97 with one of the great curveballs, and then he found the changeup along the way. Kind of lost his curveball for a few years there, and he said he wanted to bring the curveball back because of that separation, because his changeup is so close to his fastball. He needed something else, and he went back to the curveball and turned out to be a really good pitch for him again.
Well, if it only was that easy for everyone. Yeah, I'd like to introduce my curveball again and make it actually in some ways better than my changeup.
Have I mentioned that he's special?
Pretty good. 1-1 to Nelson Cruz, who struck out in the second. It was a somewhat controversial strikeout. Nelly thought that he got a piece of what would have been what was strike 3. Nelson with a home run in 4 of his last 5 games. Go back 2 years ago for Cruz. Twice in one season he homered in 5 consecutive games. Twice in the same year. Hard hit but foul.
Speaking of home runs and the A's, Aaron Judge with 50 now. He had 2 home runs today. He has 50 on the year, passing Mark McGwire's rookie record.
And 2 yesterday. I guess he got hot.
I guess so.
Reaching for it again. Back to the glove of Maxwell. That will end the top of the 3rd. But Mitch Haniger adds on to this Mariners lead. 2nd home run for the Mariners. First it was Zunino. This time Mitch Haniger blasts this out to left field. 4-0 Mariners on top. All right, thank you, Brad. First pitch on the way, curveball, strike to Canna. Eight, 9, and 1 due up for the A's. A couple of double play balls each of the first 2 innings behind Felix. Last time Felix faced the A's in July was one of his better starts of the season. 6 scoreless, only 2 hits, and a near season high 8 strikeouts. Down by the pole in left field, but this is hooking. A foul ball. The race is on. Let's keep it civil. Watch out for the rail. Take it he did not get it.
No.
Again, the 0-2. In on the hands.
Mariners scoring. Mike Zunino with a 3-run home run. Mike now with 24 home runs, and Mitch Haniger hit his 15th home run, a solo home run.
Reaching for this line drive, chin high over to Motter. MLB.com At Bat is your #1 mobile app for live Mariners baseball. Stay connected with a fully customizable experience. Get Mariners home screen icons and app features, as well as game day, live game video highlights, radio broadcasts, StatCast, news, and more. You can download MLB.com At Bat today. Here is Smolinski. Now, these 4 runs for the Mariners not to be taken for granted. The A's have been one of the hottest teams in baseball. In fact, the only team hotter right now, the team the Mariners just saw at Safeco Field, the Indians. They just swept, the A's that is, just swept the Rangers here at home. Texas scoring 2 runs, a total of 2 runs in 3 games over the weekend. Mariners with the 4 spot early on.
Talk about the A's. They're 11th in hitting in the American League, but the one thing that they can do is hit the ball out of the ballpark. They are 5th in home runs in the American League, and when you have the ability to do that, you can get back in a game quickly. All of a sudden, a walk or an error, somebody hits one out of the ballpark, you're right back.
Well, now that you bring that up, the Mariners catching a big break. Matt Olson may be done for this season, a hamstring injury. Olson, if you've caught wind of, has been on an absolute power barrage recently. First baseman, DH type for the A's. Olson with 16 home runs in his last 25 games. Injured his hamstring reaching at first base on a double play ball, trying to make a stretch. And with the calendar winding down on the regular season, Olson might just be shut down for the rest of the year. Felix picks up his first strikeout.
He's really done a nice job mixing things up. This is like a pretty good fastball off the outside corner. 90 miles an hour.
First time through the order, a strikeout, a couple of walks, 1 hit, 2 double plays behind him. Here's Semien. And look at Felix trying to join some company. 2 strikeouts shy of Roger Clemens. Clemens with 289. Keep in mind, this is 4 strikeouts against the Oakland A's. The A's have been a somewhat nomadic franchise over the course of their career. Going from Philly on to Kansas City. Seager handles this smoothly. And that ends the 3rd. Nicely done by Felix Hernandez. We are off to the 4th. All Mariners so far. Mariners baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Amtrak Cascades. What a beautiful way to travel. Visit AmtrakCascades.com. By Clearwater Casino. So many reasons to come out and play. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Steel. To find your local Steel dealer, visit SteelDealers.com. Mariners leading 4-0. Beautiful day in the Bay Area. Warm temperatures here. Both tonight and expected over the next couple of days. Here is Seager to begin the 4th. Once again, they have the shift on for him. Strike 1.
strange. As far as the weather goes, upper 80s this time of year.
Well, when you told me that we would be expecting some warm temperatures, I honestly did not believe you. I just think of coming here with layers on this time of year, and even over the summer, to be honest.
I made that mistake this morning walking out of the hotel because we're in San Francisco thinking it was going to be cool, and it was not. It was about a block, and I had to turn around. Head back.
I know you like the tank tops. Swing and a miss, strike 3. There's the curveball.
We'll take a look at it. Kyle ended up walking in his first at bat, scored on the Zunino home run, but not able to lay off of that breaking ball.
Last time up for Alonso, was able to take a 1-0 pitch out to the gap in left center. Help set up a big inning for the Mariners. One and one. Evens it up, 2 balls and 2 strikes. You seen that curve more the second time through the order, or was it there in the first time through as well?
No, I think that you're right. I think he's throwing in a little bit more. We were talking about it earlier, Aaron, that it's been, as far as the secondary pitches go, it's been his best pitch, but he has a tendency to throw his slider more.
Alonso, a shot deep out to right field. Looking up, 3rd home run tonight for the Mariners. Alonso's 26th in his old stomping grounds here in Oakland. You know, the Mariners really taking it to Daniel Gossett and the A's. It is now 5-0 Mariners.
Talked about it quite a bit over the last few weeks and the amount of home runs hit this year, and Alonso continues to add to a career high, and you're going to see an off-speed pitch in the middle of the plate. Like that curveball just left it. Wanted to bury it in the dirt. It was belt high.
Swing and strike 1 to Zunino. Mike's home run, the first tonight for the Mariners. 3-run shot back in a 25-pitch second inning for Gossett.
Mike's home run, 422 feet. 24 home runs on the year for him. Has he hit a home run this year that hasn't been at least 400 feet?
Well, that's a good question. I'm sure he sneaked a 398 in there.
Think
right?
so?
I think it probably happened. If the calculation was off a little bit. Now for Gossett, averaging a home run per start. 16 starts, 16 home runs. This is the first time in his career, granted again a rookie, that he's given up 3 home runs in a game. Another 1-2. Marcus Semien, the shortstop, out in shallow left. 2 down. Well, stay in touch with the Mariners all year long. Follow the Mariners on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter. You'll get the inside scoop on all things Mariners, as well as special offers and contests. For more information, just visit mariners.com/connect. Two outs for Motter, who struck out looking back in the second. Now the news again on Gene Segura, as Motter is at shortstop today. Segura, an injured finger. We will probably not see him, based on what Scott Service said, here in Oakland. Looks like there's a good chance we see Gene after the off day Thursday, a 3-game weekend series beginning Friday in Anaheim against the Angels. Simeon with about a knee-high backhand. And that does it for the Mariners in the top of the fourth. Third straight inning, the Mariners have taken Daniel Gossett deep. This time, Yonder Alonso out to right field. Mariners lead at 5-0. Of the game. Well, we could choose any of 3 home runs. We'll go with Mike Zunino's a 3-run shot.
And again, you see the location of the pitch. It is right in the middle of the plate, probably belt high. And Mike not trying to pull it, not trying to do too much, thinking more right center field, and that's exactly where it ended up, 422 feet away. Again, his 24th home run on the year, a 3-run home run for Mike. Now 62 RBIs for him.
Well, the Mariners' last 3 hits have been home runs. Zadino, Haniger, and Alonso. Matt Joyce leading off the bottom of the fourth. He's in line for his most at-bats in any season of his career, surpassing his 2011 All-Star season with the Rays. It maybe explains his 24 home runs, which I was surprised to see.
You may remember this. It seems to me, you mentioned the Rays, I think either prior to that or into that year, there was some complaining going on, I guess, about him not getting as much playing time as he would like. All of a sudden they started leaving him in the lineup, basically against left-handers too, and that's when he ended up having that year you're talking about.
He was a guy who, remember when the Angels a couple of years brought him over? Left field for Anaheim has just been an absolute black hole, which is part of the reason for the Upton deal.
Yep.
Although Upton has an opt-out in his contract, so he can become a free agent at the end of the season if he so chooses. But a very tough year in Anaheim. Joyce then went to the National League, went to Pittsburgh, changed his swing, resurrected his career a little bit. Full count. to the only man on the left side. Kyle Seager hit right to him. Now, this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Seattle Mariners and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Seattle Mariners. I'm not sure Matt Joyce has the right jersey on tonight, Mike.
Maybe a mistake.
Close enough. That was the uniform for all the A's yesterday.
How many hits did he get?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah.
That'll let you know if it was a mistake or not.
Yeah, but I mean, that being said, you know, if they're wearing the road grays and he goes 4 for 4, I'm not sure he's going to be wearing that one the next day.
Probably not.
But this one's close enough.
Right. Talking about Felix earlier in the game, and he has the good changeup going, and his fastball has been 90 to 92 miles an hour tonight. But keeping the ball on the ground is a big key for him, and we've seen that a couple of double play balls. Last 2 outs recorded on ground outs, so a good sign.
Three-quarter swing and a miss, and very fitting that the strikeout of Jed Lowry, his second tonight, marks 3,000 innings for Felix Hernandez. And it comes on a punch-out. Entered today needing 3 2/3. A minor correction there. 2,500 innings for Felix with that strikeout to Lowry. The opposite way on a line. Haniger's had a pretty quiet night defensively. Makes that catch. Round number 3. On to the 5th. Mariners have the lead. On Root Sports is brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. For all Toyota offers, go to buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. By Safeco Insurance, find a local agent at safeco.com. Do more. And by Primera Blue Cross, always in your corner. First pitch. Hanneman loops this towards the line. Canna full steam ahead, makes the catch. Quick out number 1 here in the 5th.
We'll take a look at the running catch by Canna. It's probably caught in most ballparks, but Large foul territory here in Oakland. A lot of room. Sure, somebody either can or has figured it out, Aaron, but what it costs you on your batting average over the course of a summer on foul balls that would most ballparks would be in the stands as opposed to here where they're caught.
And there's a sea of foul territory as Gamble looks at a strike. Of course, new ballpark proposed for the A's.
Right.
Looks like that is something that will be happening, although nothing is locked down as of right now. They have proposed land for it, only about 10 minutes away from here. And the hope for the A's to break ground in 2021 and for it to open up in 2023. So still a ways away, even if it all does go according to plan. Sops foul over by first base.
Is the Rangers ballpark next year or the year after? When is that one?
No, that'll be in a couple of more years. But they have broken ground on that.
Right.
The initial budget for that ballpark and the proposed ballpark for the A's, the Rangers' new ballpark will cost truly twice as much as the A's. Now, keep in mind they have a roof, so there's $200 million right there. But the ballpark for the A's will probably be the smallest ballpark in the majors. It'll hold about 33,000 or so. Lunging, a little flick. The line and a base hit. Fair ball off the bat of Gamble. He quickly moves into second base. Hustles in there with a double.
I mentioned it earlier. Ben getting an opportunity to lead off. Segura out of the lineup the last couple of days, and this is a pretty good pitch. Right off the end of the bat. Able to keep it fair, and with his speed, it's an easy double. He had a home run yesterday, and now a double today in the leadoff spot.
One out, one on for Mitch Haniger. A home run his last time up. Number 15 on the year for Mitch. This is smoked out to the gap in left center field. Canna giving up on it, just over the wall. Home run. Second home run in as many at bats for Mitch Haniger. It's the fourth homer tonight for the Mariners. Number 16 for the Mariners right fielder, and it's now 7-0. That was absolutely scalded.
And we'll take a look at it. Looks like an off-speed pitch. That's a changeup, I believe. And it's a line drive, just clearing the tall wall in left center field. 4 home runs for the Mariners. Second home run for Haniger. See 7 runs on the board, and you think, well, they're doing pretty well, runners in scoring position, and they are. They are 2 for 2, both of the hits home runs. Mike Zunino and now Haniger.
22.
Sam Maul warming up in the bullpen. And steps Cano. Tell you what, Mike, I'm sure what you thought on it. You've got a good eye for these things. When that ball was off the bat, it was hit on such a line, and the wall is so high out there in left field. I was questioning whether or not it would have the height, but you look over at Canna, and Canna's just watching it the whole way, not even thinking he might have a carom off the wall to play.
It went by him in a hurry. I think he's going to be in right field for a lot of years for the Mariners.
First career multi-homer game for Mitch Haniger. Two balls and 2 strikes to Cano. It's the first hot dog chant I've heard at the ballpark in a while, Mike.
I was hoping you were going to say something about that.
I guess when your team's down 7-0, you got to have something to cheer for. Full count to Cano. Here comes the payoff to Cano. Walked him. Robbie aboard for the first time. And here comes Bob Melvin. We got a pitching change. Well, the Mariners tag Gossett for 4 homers. Responsible for Cano at first base. Will step aside for this pitching change. Four home runs to the Mariners. And the A's starting pitching has been so solid recently during this season best 7-game winning streak. But here are the final line for Gossett, responsible for Cano.
4 1/3, 6 hits, 7 runs, all of them earned, couple of walks, 4 strikeouts, 83 pitches, 52 strikes, gave up 4 home runs in 4 1/3.
Now batting, number 23.
New pitcher up on the mound for the A's, Sam Maul.
Good fastball at 92 miles an hour. Slider changeup to go with it. Just 8 appearances on the year. He's given up a couple of home runs.
Made his major league debut in September. First day of the month. Starts Cruz off with a strike. Just getting underneath this one. Smolitsky in center field waits for it to come back down to earth.
A pretty good pitch to hit. Like a fastball in the middle of the plate. Again for Nelson, trying to get to 40 home runs. 37 home runs for him at the start of the game.
There's that number 2, brings up Kyle Seager. Now Seager was the first man to reach base for the Mariners tonight. That was back in the second. That opened up the doors and eventually led to a Zunino 3-run blast. Since then, Alonso has homered and Haniger has homered twice. I mentioned how effective this A's rotation has been recently. Last 9 games, A's starters have given up a grand total of 8 earned runs. as Gossett gives up 7 and responsible for Cano at first base. Seager, who has walked once, is ahead of the count 3-0. Alonso waiting on deck. 2 outs, Cano at first base. Able to get a strike across barely.
Started him with a couple of breaking balls, missed with the fastball. That one, as you mentioned, right at the top of the strike zone. You get a fastball right here.
Seager walking for the second time. Mariners have 2 men aboard thanks to ball 4. Cano moves into second. Seager at first for Yonder Alonso.
Yonder Alonso.
Alonso's home run of the 4th marked his 26th of the season. This is by far his best power year, essentially equaling his total from the last 3 years. This time missing inside.
Struggling with the strike zone. Mentioned that a little bit with the Mariners, and we'll probably see some other Mariners getting a chance to play here over the next 5 games. And Hanneman in center field, moderate shortstop today. But Maul out there, he's trying to make an impression, and one thing that you have to do, if it's left on left, that'll be his job. He has to be able to command his breaking ball, and has really struggled with it, able to get a strike with a fastball right there.
Seen some different lineups from Scott Service over this final week, more than likely. Now the 2-1. And some of that will depend, Mike, as you and I were talking earlier, what the status of the Angels are when we get to town.
I think they were 4.5 back at the start of today.
They're quickly running out of time. Able to salvage a series last night in Houston with a win. Twins' magic number has dwindled down to 2. That second wild card. Out to shallow center field. Smolinski comes charging in, and the center fielder makes the catch. The Mariners strand a couple. However, Mitch Haniger, his first career multi-homer game coming here tonight inside the Oakland Coliseum. 7-0 Mariners. To see Felix get at least 5 innings of work in. He's 3 outs away from doing that tonight.
Yeah, I thought he's throwing the ball well tonight. Again, his fastball has been 90 to 92. The really good changeup. Starting to mix his curveball in a little bit more, but you can see his pitch count in great shape. Next pitch will be 50 for him. We thought he would be right around 70, 75 in that range, but just the one hit. Back in the first inning.
Ryan Healy with tremendous power. We have seen that this year. 25 home runs. Healy spent some time at third base, not really his natural position, more of a first base.
Making some errors over there, and they had to move him.
He is getting the start tonight at first base. We mentioned Matt Olson possibly done for the season because of a hamstring injury.
For Healy, you can see the numbers, having a really good year. Solid year all the way around. 270 with 25 home runs, 76 RBIs for him.
There is Olson. 16 homers his last 25 games. Big loss for the A's this final week. Looked like a pretty good pitch. Pretty close. Missing barely with the curveball that time. Felix a chance for his 3rd strikeout in this game tonight. Walked Healy his last time up. Felix is 2-2. Robbie lined up in exactly the right place. I'll take a look at the Mariners calendar, brought to you by Mattress Firm. Paxton going tomorrow night for the Mariners. Day baseball on Wednesday. We hit the air at noon for 12:40 first pitch. Off day for the guys on Thursday. Then it wraps up a weekend series from Angel Stadium against Anaheim. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That'll be a noon first pitch Pacific time on Sunday. All games beginning at the same time once again this year. Final game of the season. Here is Chapman. And Mike, we were talking earlier about Felix, the most wins against the A's in the Oakland A's era, and how he is climbing the charts of strikeouts against the Oakland A's. And this point cannot be lost in Felix's career when you look at what he has done in the division over the course of his career. And just saw a shot of Bob Melvin. And this is backhand nicely by Seager, making it look pretty routine. This was a couple of years ago, talking with Bob Melvin about Felix. And keep in mind, Melvin has had a front row view of Felix time and time again.
Yes.
He could not even properly identify the changeup for Felix, calling it a splitter and then kind of saving himself a little bit, saying whatever that pitch is.
Well, there it is right there. There's a circle change. You can see the grip on it.
No trickery here. You look at the numbers for Felix against the Rangers, for example. And for the Rangers, I think it's an even more spectacular situation, because if you go back, if you're a baseball reference nerd, look at some of those lineups for the Rangers in their World Series years.
Yeah.
When Hamilton is an MVP.
Right.
Cruz is on that team, obviously. Mitch Moreland, very underrated player at first base. Kinsler as well. Easy one hopper to Alonso as Felix goes 5 very effective innings. Only one hit that was barely a hit, glancing off a glove, as he has shut out the A's so far tonight. 7-0 on top of the A's. Mike, I'm eager to talk to you about our Geico this date in big league history. 1998, Junior becoming the youngest to reach 350 home runs. It was his 56th and final home run of the season for Junior that year. I was looking up his numbers compared to Trout, right?
Yes.
We don't hear the Trout Junior comparison all that much. We hear Trout and Mantle all the time.
That's a great point.
We never hear it.
Right.
And ironically, they both broke into the league at 19 years of age. Now, Junior played significantly more games his first year.
Right.
But they both broke in at a remarkably young age. Trout right now playing in his age 26, 25 season. He's knocking the door on 200 home runs, 197. 350 this day back in 1998 for Junior. Pretty impressive stuff.
And Junior is not a home run hitter.
Junior's not a home run hitter?
He would tell you that. And we would all just laugh, but
he was serious when saying that?
Oh yeah. But and you could see why. He hit 300 every year too. You know, he was hitting line drives all over the place, but yeah.
Zunino leading off the 6th.
I mean, he may not feel that way today.
Some revisionist history, is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
It's always a good day for Mike when he homers and walks in the same game. He's done that now. Well, it's funny you say 300.
We saw it on the last road trip. I believe he had 2 home runs and 2 walks in the same game.
It's a pretty elite list in recent years of Mariners who have done that, as you might imagine. Here's Motter. It's funny you mentioned 300 for Junior, because looking at his numbers just over the first 8 years of his career and those 350 home runs, he was exactly to the T a 300 hitter with all that power as well.
Yeah. There was nothing that he could not do. You were asking me about it earlier too. In his younger years, you were a bit surprised that he didn't steal more bases.
And when he did, he wasn't incredibly effective. Not that he was getting thrown out every time. Yeah, it wasn't for a guy who just ran like the wind.
Yeah.
I mean, all the highlights of tracking down everything in the outfield, you would think he would just be ripping up the base path, but then at least by the numbers wasn't the case.
No, and I think we saw a little bit of that, although he's running more now. And you mentioned Mike Trout and comparing him with Junior, and the Trout went a couple of years where he wasn't running much at all, and
after swiping 49 bags,
right, and just trying to save the wear and tear. And for Junior, it was even more so, or more important, because he was playing on that carpet in the Kingdome, and his knees were becoming a problem, so you just had to really pick your spots and take care of him as much as possible, because obviously the most important thing is that he's in your lineup every day.
Sure. Zunino at first base, Motter an even 2-2 count. Not sure how much we'll be seeing Trout run. Of course, the season's almost over, but missing 6 weeks because of a torn ligament in his thumb. A head-first slide into second base on a steal attempt. Hard hit on the ground underneath Lowry's glove. Zunino into second base. Motter aboard for the first time. 2 on, nobody out.
Won't be a base hit for Taylor. Here's a look at it. High fastball. And Maul right now just trying to throw a strike. Really struggling. I think the Mariners will be able to take advantage of that. Get in some hitters counts and take advantage of the fastball.
First pitch to Hanneman. Now we are just beginning to get to know Jacob Hanneman a little bit. Pretty interesting story. Spent the first 8 years of his life on Oahu. Not too bad. His father's work took them to the mainland. Moved to Utah. But Hanneman still has plenty of family over in Hawaii. And for the longest time, he said he made it back there every year. It's gotten to a point now where sometimes it's more like every other year.
The schedule has changed quite a bit.
I would say so.
Yeah. Mariners are 2 for 3 with runners in scoring position this evening. Both hits home runs.
Chasing after it. Now number 1.
Now batting.
Well, this season, for every Mariners hit, Fred Hutch will receive a donation from Mariners Care and the Kyle Seeger versus Cancer Foundation. Hits for Hutch is our way of supporting the life-saving research taking place at Seattle's own Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center. And steps Ben Gamble. Going after the first pitch, slices it foul. Right to her.
For the second time, it looks like.
How about that? You're right. Now this after we saw the guy banging his head on the railing.
And when he didn't get one.
When he didn't get one,
Right.
doing everything he could. Sometimes, Mike, you just got to let the game come to you.
That's exactly right. And it looks like they're going to get another inning out of Felix. Nobody getting loose in the pen.
Been pretty efficient. He sat down the last 11 hitters faced. Gamble a double and a run scored in the 5th. He came trotting around the base paths on Haniger's second home run. Way outside Maxwell, a good stop. Keeps everybody put. Zunino at second base, Motter at first. The 2-2. Ground ball taken by Simeon, the shortstop. Step on second and a throw to first, and a double play ends the top of the 6th. Seen some excitement in the stands here tonight, chasing after some souvenirs. Doink. Watch out. That'll get you. You know, sometimes it's easier just to stay seated, right? For the second time, walking home with another souvenir. So far tonight as they lead the A's 7-0. Now, the Orca card is all you need to ride the Sounder train. Link, light rail, buses, ferries, and streetcars. Learn more at getorcasmart.com. Hey, Mike, the moon's out.
There you go.
Showed that up on the video board here inside the ballpark. Oh, that's the first time I've seen the moon on a video board in a Major League ballpark.
Yeah.
Check that off the list. Canna on the first pitch. Another ground ball. A dozen in a row sat down by Felix.
Now batting, center fielder, number 5.
One up, one down for Smolinski.
Felix at 60 pitches tonight. A lot of ground ball outs. Good to see. Now 61 pitches, 40 strikes.
A lift out towards right center field. Hanneman out of the warning track glides over to make the catch. How about some scores in the wild card race? White Sox taking down the Angels 4-2. Elsewhere tonight, day baseball from the Bronx. Aaron Judge, 2 home runs now with 50, the all-time Major League rookie record, thumping the Royals. Astros really taking it to the Rangers in the Silver Boot Series. And all this is good for the Minnesota Twins. You look at some tragic numbers amongst teams in the American League. Looking for that wild card. The Angels tragic number at 2. The Rangers, Rays, and Royals tragic number has dropped to 1. Looking more and more like it will be Yankees and Twins in that American League wild card game. This is lifted high and deep out towards left, out towards the foul pole. It's a fair ball and it's gone. That snaps 13 in a row, sat down by Felix. Only the second hit by the A's. Semien taking the king deep. First hit for Oakland since the first inning. A's on the board for the first time.
And it looks like it was on a changeup. Typically, yeah, it is changeup. When Felix throws his changeup, most of the time they'll hit it on the ground, but this time probably about mid-thigh. It's the 4th home run for Semien off of Felix in his career. I believe he had a game last year where he hit 2 home runs in a game. That was his 8th home run on the year.
Semien missing a lot of time because of wrist surgery. 1-0 to Joyce. We're talking about how well Felix was pitching, has been pitching, how much of a groove. 35 pitches at one point to get 12 outs, 12 straight outs. Joyce still rocking Atleticos. Jersey the A's wore yesterday.
I was told that he was 0 for 1 yesterday as a pinch hitter.
That wipes away your theory, Mike.
Yeah.
It was a good thought, though. No 4 for 4 for Joyce yesterday. Fernando Rodney at one point had the wrong jersey onto the bullpen. The bullpen cam caught him warming up, and all of a sudden there was a clubby who had a little bit of a dead sprint.
Was it the wrong color jersey?
Yes, it was absolutely the wrong color jersey. I asked one of the guys the obvious question, hey, how do you go 8 innings and not see that? And they had the obvious response back, well, listen, man, you got a different jacket on or a sweatshirt on. Nobody's seeing the jerseys until they start to warm up. And I thought, okay, that's fair. So then the question is, okay, well, how does he get the jersey to begin with? Another ground ball out. Felix, 6 very effective innings tonight. Only 1 run. A season best 4 home runs tonight against the A's.
Guess they better get busy, right? They want to break the record for the year. Haniger with a couple of home runs. Alonso his 26th home run on the year. Haniger now with 16 home runs. That last one was just a line drive that barely cleared the wall. Ended up getting out in a hurry.
Michael Brady, the new pitcher up on the mound, taking over for Sam Moll. Third pitcher tonight for the A's.
Fastball, cutter, curve, changeup for him. His average fastball 91 miles an hour.
Now for Haniger tonight, marking his first ever multi-homer game. Has a chance to join a pretty small group of Mariners who have homered 3 times in a game. It's only happened 12 times in franchise history. Has not happened since Jose Lopez in 2010.
Well, he has a chance to get a fastball here in a 2-0 count.
All that foul ground. This gets out of play. And a couple of players to do it twice in Mariners history. Griffey did it twice, 96 and 97. Of course, that man as well, Edgar Martinez in 96 and then in 99. The most famous of them all, not a 3 home run game, but a 4 home run game, Mike Cameron, tying a major league record. That has happened twice this year. Scooter Gennett of the Reds, JD Martinez, the most recent. Martinez having a tremendous year with the Diamondbacks since being traded. Free agent at year's end. Good timing on his part. If I'm remembering right, Mike, for Martinez, his 4 home runs came off of 4 different pitchers.
I think you're probably right about that. Felix is done for the night. 70 pitches for Felix. Ended up going 6 innings. They were hoping to get 5, but he ends up working 6. So good outing for Felix.
Full count to Haniger.
Alper's getting loose in the pen.
I think that's a little outside.
The 3-2. Strike 3 call, and Haniger thinking maybe ball 4.
Now batting.
1 out for Cano.
Robinson Cano.
Robbie 0 for 2 at the walk. Pops up the first pitch. Chapman at third base. 2 down.
This would be a good time for Nelson to hit his home run.
Now, why do you say that?
Because I just felt that he was going to hit 2 home runs in this series. You can't hit the second one until you hit the first one, and this feels like a pretty good time for him to do it. I want him to get to 40.
Oh, you and me both.
He's been so hot lately to even give himself a chance, and here we are. After today, just 5 games to go, and he needs 3 home runs. Already a career high for RBIs for him. He's basically led the American League all year in that category.
I guess you can say that for a lot of power hitters, when they hit home runs, they come in bunches, but it seems like especially so with Cruz.
Now, the thing that's difficult with him is how consistently hard he hits the baseball. And sometimes he's just hitting it on a line, so he may go a couple of weeks where he doesn't hit a home run, and you would think most power hitters, they're struggling, but that's not necessarily the case with him. His average has been right around 290 all year.
Well, they play him straight up. Most guys with 37 home runs, you see a shift.
homered 4 days in a row at home. As you take a look at his RBI total, leading the American League. But 4 days in a row, 3 of them in a row were to right field.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
Like that jammed him a little bit. Smolinski in center gives way to the right fielder Joyce, and the side retired in order by the new pitcher Michael Brady. You can stretch your imagination like never before. Play today. It was a gorgeous day here in the Bay Area. The Mariners opening up this 3-game series tonight inside the Oakland Coliseum. They lead it 7-1 over the A's. Plenty of offense, plenty of home runs, and some very good starting pitching from that man, Felix Hernandez. His final line here, just the 2 hits, 1 run over 6 strong innings.
Outside of the solo home run, I don't think it could have gone any better for him. 70 pitches, 46 strikes. They wanted him to go 5 innings. He goes 6. You mentioned, Aaron, just the 2 hits.
Our Beacon Plumbing call to the pen. Take a look at Andrew Albers.
This will be his 8th appearance. ERA right around 3.5. 29 strikeouts over 8 walks. Opponent's hitting .257. He's given up 5 home runs this year.
As Albers is making his 3rd straight relief outing, we go back to the Ford Sports Desk. Bring in Bill Kruger. Bill, very impressive tonight watching Felix. What struck you the most?
When you look at tonight's performance, Bill, if this is his last outing, are you okay with that? Yeah, you're probably right about that. And what would you like to see, since we have you, what would you like to see from Paxton tomorrow now that Felix is done?
Bill, as always, we appreciate your insights. We'll hear more from Bill coming up on the post-game show presented by Alaska Airlines.
I agree with that. And Aaron, I think that you would too. Now, the next step for James is for him to find a way to go out and get 30 starts over the course of the summer and see what those numbers would look like. There's no denying his talent and what he's capable of.
High chopper down by the shoes now to Seager. Cano, strong throw to first base in time for the double play to end the inning. You're right, Mike. They would be all-star caliber numbers. A full healthy season for Paxton. 7 innings in the books. Mariners on top. Well, time now, Mike, for our Big Fish Casino Big Catch, and it's all about the king in this one. A couple of strikeouts and a couple of double plays behind him.
Yeah, I thought that he was really sharp and was just getting better as the game was moving on. They wanted him to go 5 innings. Ended up going 6 because of the double play. Double play helping him out and him able to keep the ball on the ground to give him the opportunity. So 70 pitches, 46 strikes for Felix. Good outing, strong outing for him.
First pitch strike to Kyle Seager. Now the Mariners 7 runs coming on 4 homers. Zunino and Alonso, then 2 from Haniger. Zunino's did the most damage, a 3-run shot. Alonso a solo blast, same story for Haniger, then a 2-run homer for Mitch Haniger.
Aaron, I'll be curious what you think about this, and let me know if I'm sleeping on the Boston Red Sox. We just saw Cleveland, a terrific ball club. We've seen obviously a lot of Houston, and we know that team probably better than any of the other ones. And for me, as I look at this thing, I look at those 2 teams. I think it's going to be difficult. We talked a lot about the Yankees and the wild card and the Twins. You just keep forgetting about the Red Sox and where they're going to fit in all of this. But for me, it looks like Cleveland and Houston.
No, you're right. Normally, under normal circumstances, a team with 91 wins like the Red Sox have would not be overlooked quite as much as they are this year. Seager sails this out to left. Easy play for Canna.
Defensive change for the Athletics in the previous half inning.
Well, Joyce looks like Mike has caught on. They are watching the telecast inside the clubhouse. We will no longer protest this game. There it is, Athletics. How about that?
A couple of ground outs changed the jersey.
If he had the 2 home runs, it'd be a different story. You look at the 3 winningest teams right now in the American League. I'm not sure if there's anybody that can slow down the Cleveland Indians right now. But isn't it funny how there have been kind of some twists and turns? Because I don't know about you, Mike, but when Brian Cashman made the deals that he did, new second baseman, young man Barreto, we saw earlier this year, their #1 prospect, now at second for Lowry. When the Indians went out, when the Yankees went out and did what they did to their bullpen, to me at the moment, they looked like they would be able to leap ahead of the Astros. And of course, the Indians weren't. They hadn't rattled off 22 straight wins at that time. They weren't in the conversation quite as much then as they are now. The Verlander acquisition is a major game changer
for Houston. I would agree with that.
You'd line up. A.J. Hinch has alluded to the fact that he would start game 1, not Dallas Keuchel. Keuchel 2, and they auditioned McCullers last night to see if he can be effective enough and healthy enough to start in game 3 of the postseason. Into the shifts. 2 outs. That's a 6-3 put out. Semien swinging over, brings up Zunino.
Well, I was just thinking about it a little bit, and you mentioned New York and that bullpen, and maybe that changes everything once they get into the postseason, right? But the Boston Red Sox, and you think about Sale,
sure,
in the year that he's having.
Pomeranz has had a sneaky good year.
Yeah, tough lineup to deal with.
Ball to Zunino. Well, the Indians and the Astros duking it out for the best record to determine home field advantage in the American League. Astros winning tonight, lopsided win over the Rangers. Race for the best record. Dodgers knocking on the door of 100 wins, but in the American League, Indians at 98, Astros at 96 wins. Nationals getting Bryce Harper back after that knee injury. This has got some carry out to right field. It sends Joyce into the shadows right in front of the track. Some opposite field carry, but not deep enough. Side sat down in order. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Seattle Mariners baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by BNSF Railway, sponsor of the BNSF Blast. By CenturyLink, connecting you to the power of the digital world. By Jack in the Box, come try the new Smoky Jack Burger or Chicken Sandwich, limited time only. And by Money Tree, proud to make a donation to Mariners Care for every Mariners win. Happy you're with us here tonight from the Coliseum. Aaron Goldsmith, Mike Blowers, our entire Root Sports crew. We open up this 3-game series. Felix very effective over 6 innings. Albers taken over thereafter. Facing Chapman.
Albers pitching the 7th inning. Faced the minimum, gave up a base hit, but was able to get a double play right behind it.
Gamble cutting across. They're in plenty of time to make the catch. Well, the Mariners thank Seattle Children's for their season-long support to create family-friendly destinations inside the ballpark. Whether the Seattle Children's Playfield or Wishing Well, our youngest fans enjoy a fantastic experience at Safeco Field. And speaking along the lines, Mike, of the American League, Jose Altuve hit by a pitch in his forearm day to day. Now, wouldn't think, although I didn't see him get hit by a pitch, but would not think that that would end his regular season. He's now sitting on 199 hits. Picked up one tonight.
Your MVP? I think he is.
I think so too. Judge is coming on with a pretty late burst here.
Yes, yeah.
4 home runs in the last 24 hours or so.
50 home runs. Breaks the rookie record of Mark McGwire, who had 49. Yeah, that is terrible news for Houston if that is the case.
This is lashed down to the corner. Gamble colliding into the wall and a little hobbled. But still kind enough to give that souvenir away. I've seen him do this before, Mike.
Yes, and he is going to feel that in the morning.
Ball and 2 strikes on Maxwell. Now for Altuve, not only would it be his 4th straight 200 hit season, but he would make history this year. There's never been a player to lead either league in hits 4 straight years. It's never happened before. Maxwell gets rung up.
And you said he was at 99, 199
after his hit tonight.
So if that is the case and he's hurt, and do you care if he goes up there the last game of the season and drops down a bunt?
No, I don't. He needs to get 200. I can't imagine he would miss.
I would say he's done the bulk of the work, right?
Absolutely. Now, Stan Musial almost accomplished that feat, leading the league 4 straight years, but a year of military service. Strike one to Canham.
You still have that poster of him?
Which one?
The one that you kept in your room.
You know, the thing about Musial, speaking of his military service,
there is no bigger Musial fan than you. Well, but then there's nothing wrong with that.
Sure.
Yeah.
The amazing thing about Musial, he said after the fact that his year in the military, and he was on one of these basically a baseball touring group, a lot of entertainment for the soldiers.
Sure.
He said that his year in the military helped him hit all the home runs later in his career, Mike, because he made an adjustment to his swing to hit more home runs for the troops. Because of course, people don't want to see doubles up the middle; they want to see home runs.
They want to see home runs.
So how about that? A little worthless Stan Musial information for you on this night. Canna batting with 2 outs and nobody on here in the bottom of the 8th. Albers allowed a single in the 7th. That came off the bat of Chris Davis, but it was wiped away on an inning-ending double play. Mariners have turned 3 of those tonight. All right, so this is part 1 of the Flow Bros here.
Taylor getting the start at shortstop.
Oh, there we go. There it is.
That's right.
Oh my goodness. That is a work of art. Is that the shirt on the right? Now, don't be blinded by the facial hair. Was that Seager's face
looked like
on the shirt? Very happy, Kyle Seager.
Not sure, but I hope it is.
I still can't get over the beard. Those weren't the guys beginning the hot dog chant earlier. We'll never know. Unsolved mystery here in the Coliseum.
Long at bat for Canna. This will be the 9th pitch.
Socked out to Gamble in left field. He's got space. Out number 3. 3 up, 3 down, bottom of the 8th. We go to the 9th. Mariners in command. Game for our final Twitter Tuesday of the season. You'll have 5 chances to win exciting prizes just by interacting with us on Twitter throughout the game. Since it's the last opportunity to win this season, we're giving away the best prize packs yet. So be sure to watch and follow us on Twitter at rootsports_NW. For giveaway rules, visit rootsports.com. Motter on the first pitch. Flips this out. Pretty good carry out to left field. Canna on the track. 1 down. Our CenturyLink What's Next. Final 2 games of this 3-game series. Paxton versus Mingden tomorrow. And then day baseball on Wednesday. Erasmo Ramirez versus Kendall Graveman. Paxton coming off 3 2/3 against the Rangers. He'll be making his 3rd start against the A's this year. Back in July for Paxton, 9 punch-outs in a 7-inning start against Oakland.
You know, the other part of that, Aaron, is I think Ramirez has certainly put himself in the mix. And you start thinking about next year and what he has done. It's one of those things where another starter was going down for the Mariners. They were able to make a deal and get Ramirez back. And I think he's really thrown the ball well, and I think that he's in the mix.
Oh, there's no doubt. He make the case had the best run of his career as a starting pitcher, just in terms of consecutive quality starts. Set a personal best recently this year. Hanneman looking for his 2nd career major league hit. Hanneman's first big league hit, an infield single in Houston, was part of a huge Mariners inning, and he was on deck when the inning came to a close. Almost had a chance to get his first 2 hits in the same frame. When I brought that one up to him, he said, yeah, hopefully my 2nd would have gotten out of the infield. They still count.
Yep, take them any way you can get them. They're hard. They're hard to pick up, those base hits.
Barreto, the new 2nd baseman, handles this. 2 up, 2 down. Well, we've got high school football coming up on Thursday at 7 p.m. Hope you can join us here on Root Sports. Some water and still to come, presented by Beacon Plumbing. Gamble fouls the first pitch off of the plate.
Penn is 1 for 4. One base hit, a double down the left field line.
And on the hands, tight to the line on a broken bat. Healy covers first base. We go to the bottom of the 9th inning. A's down to their final 3 outs. Okay, I'm glad to have your eyes on that, Bradley. It's good to know. We couldn't quite see all of it, but
Brad confirmed it.
That's all I need. Number 9 hitter Jake Smolinski. Team play for Taylor Motter. 2 outs away from a Mariners win. Albers 2 outs away from the very rare 3-inning save. Pitching the final 3 innings in back of Felix.
I'm guessing that would be his first save.
Oh. Maybe not exactly as he imagined it, but it'll count. A ball and strike to Semien.
Albert's 28 pitches, 23 strikes for him. On top of his game this evening.
Important not to lose sight of the fact that the Mariners come to town with the Oakland A's riding a season-best 7-game winning streak. Coming off sweeps of the Tigers, another sweep of the Rangers. Bob Melvin's crew outscoring Texas 13-2 over those 3 games. One out walk. Semien aboard. His home run, the only run so far tonight for the A's.
Your attention, please.
Got a pinch hitter, Nunez. Will bat for Joyce.
Number 22.
Well, the pitching for the A's was so good in that Rangers series that at one point they held Texas scoreless over a 21-inning stretch. Makes those 7 runs tonight for the Mariners look even better. Nunez into left field. Gamble on a bounce. Meanwhile, Simeon chugging first to third. Renato Nunez a pinch hit single. Nunez with his first hit this season.
It was a good play by Gamble out in left field. Get the ball back into second base. Keep the double play in order. Give Albers a chance to get out of the inning.
There's Franklin Barreto, who took over at second base for Jed Lowry. We have seen him before this year. Top prospect for the A's. Albers ahead 0-2. Mariners 2 outs away from a win here tonight in Oakland. Game 1 of the series. Now 1 out away.
And a good play by Mike. Good night for Mike Zunino. His 24th home run, has done a really nice job behind the plate.
That home run, a 3-run smash. Out to right center field. Here is Chris Davis. I can never sleep on Chris Davis. He's homered in back-to-back games. 4th most home runs in the big leagues, 41 on the season. Indifference as Nunez makes his way to second. Paxton tomorrow, then Erasmo Ramirez day baseball on Wednesday before a day off on Thursday for the Mariners. And the final 3 games of the year in Anaheim. Healthy, hack and a miss, 1-2. Albers and the Mariners a strike away. Soft fly ball out towards right center field. Hanneman puts it away. Now the Mariners take game 1 in Oakland in convincing style.
And Felix now with 25 wins against Oakland. And they're going 6 innings tonight. Really pitched well. Gave up the 1 run. It was a solo home run, but just 2 hits off of Felix. Was able to keep the ball on the ground. Encouraging signs across the board. And of course, the Mariners power 4 home runs in the ballgame, including 2 by Haniger.
And Felix, a little bit of a historic night, joining the 2,500 inning club. Just the 5th active pitcher in the big leagues. Mariners win this one tonight, 7-1. As we now hand things over, Brad, Bill, guys, all yours.